Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I had a commenter who said they didn't like me using the word Southern. Well, I meant Southern District of Indiana, and the reason for that is because that includes Indianapolis, and of course I live up in the north. You want to believe that where you live is free from the crime and everything, but realistically I understand that it's not. However, there is a lot more problems with southern Indiana because it includes Indianapolis. And I'm going to show you something that I also wanted to point out. If you notice the dates on this, the OIG found that between the years 1995 and 2005, that's when those 800 fraudulent subpoenas had been served. Somebody said Pence. Let's go look. So these are the governors of Indiana. Now, remember the dates we're looking for again? 1995 to 2005. Okay, 1995 hits right here, Evan Bayh. Evan Bayh was governor during the start of this. Guess what party Evan Bayh is? Yep, Democrat. And then we went to Frank O'Bannon. And guess what? Yes, he's also a Democrat. Then we went to good old Joe Kernan, who used to be the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and he is once again a Democrat. And he went until 2005. Look at this. 1995 and 2005. That was the years that all this happened. Interesting. And then we got Mitch Daniels. And Mitch had to do a lot of cleaning up. In my opinion, I really liked Mitch. I thought he did an excellent job as governor. But he didn't want to go on with politics because he was a businessman like Donald Trump. And so he looked at the government in a business way. Anyway, and you said Mike Pence. No, Mike Pence didn't come in until 2013. Really, seriously, guys, he was not part of this. This is not on him in any way, shape, or form. Now, the 2007 would have been when Mitch Daniels was in office. It's just very funny that the three governors during that time period were all three Democrats. Coincidence? I don't think so. By the way, if you know anything about Joe Kernan, oh man, he is typical Democrat. He really was. And South Bend is one of the few areas in northern Indiana that is totally Democrat. The rest of us, yeah, we're Republicans. Conservatives, definitely conservatives. So I wanted to point that out to you. Don't blame Pence on this one. You can't, because he wasn't even in office. It is possible that this was a lazy judge who just didn't want to have to sign all these. But from what this says here is that it'd been routinely customizing this, and in order to give the appearance of official judicial approval. That to me doesn't say that a judge was saying, yeah, go ahead and use my signature. I think that says that it was the appearance of official judicial approval, which meant it did not have the official judicial approval. So I'm kind of thinking they were using this as a way to get around the judge. Now, again, in no way, shape, or form am I saying the South is bad or the North is bad. Just if you look at this map, the Indiana part right here, Indianapolis is like about here on the map. It's like right in the center. So that is definitely considered south. It's in the Southern Court District. And this is a heat map here of where the sealed indictments are. You can see that it's red, and the red means 100 or more for that particular month, and that was October of last year. So you can see that it's part of the red. All of this red did have a lot more sealed indictments than the North, and the North had less than 25 in that particular month. Now, we've had more than that over time, but in that particular month, October of 2018, that's how it stood. So you can see that there is a difference between the two parts. Okay, the northern and the southern, there have been a lot more sealed indictments in the southern part. But I think part of the reason for that is because the southern part includes Indianapolis. That's just my opinion on that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. That's where we have a big concentration of Democrats. And what was distressing to me is if it was up here in the north, I would have been a little more upset because we have Republicans who are in power for the most part. In our district, we have a Republican who is our representative, Jackie Walorski, and we have several other districts in the north that are Republicans. I think it would have been more distressing to me if we would have had more Republicans involved in it. And that's why I said what I did, because the southern Indiana has our largest city, which is Indianapolis. And so that would figure more into a possibility of the criminality of things, just because of the size. And when you have a large city, you have more opportunities for corruption. That's just how it works. It's like with our federal government. It's so big, it's hard to keep track of everybody. And that's why the OIGs, the Office of Inspector General, is so important, because they need to be ferreting these things out. However, they don't have any teeth. They can't actually do anything about the corruption they find. While we have this report right here from Chuck Grassley and the Senate Judiciary Committee, they can only point these things out. Congress, like the OIG, cannot prosecute anybody. And maybe this is where our big problem comes, that they cannot act on the recommendations or the corruption that they find. And this is what's frustrating about reading this report. Chuck Grassley is like he's standing there yelling out a warning to the United States, and nobody's listening to him. But again, we're in the Justice Department. This is a meme I did a while back, but the same idea holds true. If you watched the last video about this particular document with the United States Marshal Service, they found all this corruption with, this is still the issue that we're dealing with right here. You have to clean things out. And when the Trump administration came in, there were massive amounts of corruption they had to deal with, and they're still dealing with today. And I do agree with those who are saying that the rifts that are going to come are probably going to have to do with getting rid of these corrupt officials, and it's happening across the board. It's already been happening. We know that because all the cabinet members were told to cut 5% out of their budgets. So I think that is already starting to happen, because if you take 5% out of each of these departments, that would make a huge difference too. The problem is we have a system, and the system relies on the FBI, who investigates federal crimes. We have the DOJ, which prosecutes the crimes, and that's going to include the US Marshal Service. It's part of the DOJ. And then we have the judges who rule on the crime. Now, the problem is, if any one of those three steps is corrupt, you're not going to get a conviction. And we're only going to get one chance to do this complete cleaning of the swamp. One chance. That's it. And we don't want any of these people to walk. So if it's taking a while, that's because it's going to take some time to get things all in order. And that's what we've been seeing for the last couple of years, things getting in order. But we also notice from this report there's still a lot of cleaning in the DOJ that needs to take place. And so you have the FBI investigating. The FBI is dirty, they won't investigate. If the DOJ is dirty, they won't prosecute whatever the FBI finds. And if the judges are corrupt, you'll get poor rulings on what the DOJ and the FBI have done. So it all has to come together in one place. It all has to be part of the process. And so when we're talking about a report like this is only part of it. This is exposing the corruption. The next step has to be prosecuting it. And it needs a clean DOJ to do that, which is kind of ironic because the USMS is part of the DOJ that needs to be cleaned up. So maybe this is a first step that has to be done before the rest can be done as well, because we need these US Marshals. And if there's some corruption there, especially it looks like at the higher levels, that could be a real problem in trying to prosecute crimes. So I wanted to put this out for you. Remember, I am not at all saying that people in the South or even Southern Indiana are bad or anything. It's just that there's more prevalent crime in a larger city, and that's where Indianapolis is. So it doesn't surprise me that that's where this took place. And I wanted to impress on you that no, you can't blame Pence for this, okay? Pence was not even governor at this time, so you really can't blame him. And the governors that were in that time period were all three Democrats. My vote didn't put them in office. So anyway, I wanted to point that out to you. Keep in mind that this is a process. And while Congress and the OIG can report the crimes, they can prove that it's there, there still has to be some level of interaction with the DOJ, who has to step in and actually start the prosecutions. Will it be prosecuted? I hope so, but the report had to be put out first. And I think that's why Grassley did this as kind of his last report as the chairman of the judiciary. Now, he's still on the judiciary and he still will be working in the committee. I'm sure he's still going to be asking really excellent questions. He'll be working with Lindsey Graham. I'm certain of that. But because the DOJ has a rule of not talking about ongoing investigations, we won't know what's been happening, the extent of what they've done, or who they've interviewed, or how much information they have, what evidence they have, until it all comes out in the public and arrests are made. That's just how it works. It's going to come out, and it's going to come out soon. Why hasn't it come out yet? Because I don't think the cases are all solidified, and I don't think they have everybody they need yet. So as soon as they get everything that needs to be in place, they'll get it out there. It'll become obvious. And at that time, it'll be obvious to everyone, even those who only watch the mainstream media. So that's what I've got for you. I'm going to probably do another video that'll upload tomorrow morning. But I wanted to get this out while I was thinking about it, and I was answering a few of the comments down below. So that's what I wanted to say for today. Please subscribe and click that little notification bell, because that really helps me out, and I'm working towards a goal of 60,000 eventually by April. So thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you all later.